Hello, grade 1, good morning. Today we're going to continue our science lesson. How do objects in the sky seem to change? Yesterday we talked about the objects that we can see in the nighttime sky. Today we're going to talk about the patterns in the nighttime sky and we will focus on the moon phases. Today's objective is to describe the pattern of the moon in the nighttime sky. You know how the moon sometimes is different shapes. This is because it has different phases. Now let's observe this video and I will explain to you more about it.
We see the sun and the moon move across the sky because of the Earth's rotation. What are the phases of the moon? The moon doesn't make its own light or heat like the sun. We can see the moon because the sun's light shines on it. Well, let's pretend my flashlight is the sun and you're the moon. The light only shines on part of you. The other side is too dark to see. One side of the moon is always lit by the sun. As the moon rotates and orbits the Earth, different parts of the moon are lit by the sun. The moon looks like it's changing shape, but really it's just going through phases. The first phase of the moon is called the new moon. The sun lights the side of the moon that faces away from Earth. The side of the moon that faces us is dark, so we can't see it. The next phase is a crescent moon, and then we see more of the moon. About 14 days after the new moon, we see a full moon. During a full moon, the sun lights the side of the moon that faces us. Then after that, we can see less and less of the moon. After about 28 days, the cycle starts over. When the shape of the moon seems to grow bigger, we say that it's waxing. When the shape of the moon seems to grow smaller, we say that it's waning. How do we know so much about the moon?
Well, I want you to tell me, students, does the moon look the same every time we look at it? Very good. It changes throughout the month because it takes 29 days to travel around the Earth. That's why we see different shapes or different phases of the moon. When we see the moon or part of it in the sky, it is the part that the sun shines on it. Okay, we heard the word moon phases too many times. In the title of the lesson, in the objective of the lesson, in the video, and in my explanation. Do you want to know what does the word phases mean?
Phases are the moon's pattern of light and shadow that you see as the moon moves.
So, my friend, can you tell me what are the moon phases, please? Sure. They are the moon's pattern of light and darkness that we see as the moon moves.
The moon doesn't give off its own light. We see the part of the moon that the sun shines on. As the moon moves across the sky, its shape seems to change. Sometimes you can't see the moon. This phase, or shape you see, is called the new moon. Around the 8th day of the month, the moon looks like a half circle. This phase is called the first quarter moon. Around the middle of the month, the moon looks like a full circle. This phase is called the full moon. The moon looks like a half circle again. This is the third quarter moon. This phase happens about 1 week after the full moon. The pattern of the moon's phases, or shapes, repeats every month.
So we will learn about the 4 moon phases. The first one we call it the new moon. The moon is all dark because the lit up half is facing away from the earth. A week after the new moon, we can see half of the half that shows. So quarter of the moon is the part that we can see. That's why we call it first quarter moon. Around the middle of the month, or 2 weeks after the new moon, we can see the entire lit up half of the moon. And the moon will look like a full circle to us. Now, about 1 week after the full moon, the moon looks like a half circle again, and this is the third quarter moon. The pattern of the moon's phases or shapes repeats every month. Now we reach to our book. I want you to open page 288. We will read it together. We will highlight and we'll do some work on it. Are you ready? Let's start. The title talks about the patterns in the nighttime sky. The 4 pictures in front of us are the 4 phases of the moon. They are new moon, first quarter moon, full moon, and third quarter moon. As I read now, I want you to highlight with me. Are you ready? Yes. The shape of the moon seems to change. These changes are called phases. Phases are the moon's pattern of light and darkness that you see as the moon moves. The phases repeat each month. And now, the question down says, draw an X on the phase of the moon that looks like a whole circle. And draw a box around the phases that look like half of a circle. Here where you are going to post your work in Seesaw. And go to page 295 to complete the 3 questions. Then take a photo of this page and submit it here. Thank you, everyone. Success criteria. I hope you all are able now to describe the pattern of the moon in the nighttime sky.